Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carl with Capital Recovery. I'm a recovery coach here. Today we're going to be talking about recovery as a process of learning, growth, and healing. It says, when you're finished changing, you're finished. Benjamin Franklin. Like I said, it's a quote from him. It's the September National Recovery Month. While the term recovery can be applied to getting better or improving with regard to a wide range of conditions, it is most commonly associated with overcoming addiction to alcohol and other drugs. In context, recovery is generally thought of a becoming absence from all these substances. However, the process of recovery goes far beyond absence. The U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, has defined recovery from both substance use disorder and mental disorders as a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Change at risk that unfamiliar is always hard, and because any process of meaningful life change, such as recovery from addiction, going beyond the boundaries of our constructed containers of comfort and attachment, it tends to be especially indoors as well as anxiety provoking, as hard as it can be for anyone stuck in a very vicious circle of active addiction. To stop using drugs and alcohol and other drugs, it is much more challenging to stay stopped. Recovery from addiction is the process of sustaining absence and learning and practicing the awareness and skills necessary to live a whole, healthy, and healed life. These two elements reinforce one another. Sustained absence creates the opportunity to build the skills that facilitate growth and healing, which is not possible during unremitting entropy of active addiction. Conversely, learning and practicing such skills is instrumental to sustaining absence. So it talks about absence a lot in this, and my opinion and few others is like, when you're absent, that's when you begin to truly grow, because you're putting substance in your body, and it can stop the mental state of it, the physical, you end up pains, broken bones, all kinds of stuff that comes with it. But like being absent, you begin to says learning, grow, and heal. There's a lot of that going on, but you have to be complete. My opinion, you have to be complete absence. But there's many pathways to recovery, and absence is one of them. Because beyond absence, recovery involves participating in life activities that are healthy and meaningful based on your needs, interests, and values. Is making changes in how you relate to your thoughts and emotions, especially those that are uncomfortable and painful. Discovering and developing parts of yourself in which had been unaware, and rediscovering those parts of yourself will be let me see here. Hey, Billy, you hear me? Daily? I'll go on to say discovering and developing parts of yourself of which you had been unaware, and rediscovering those parts of yourself that were buried beneath the rubble of active addiction. And it's developing new patterns of living with conscious awareness and moving toward mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual balance. To complement the above definition, Samsara published 10 guiding principles of recovery, to which I'll highlight here. Recovery occurs via many pathways. It is not a one-size-fits-all process. Far from it. In fact, while people seeking recovery tend to share certain common experiences and needs, every individual has particular capacities, coping abilities, resources, strengths, interests, goals, culture, and background. These influences and help to determine the most effective pathways of recovery for each person. Recovery pathways can include mutual aid groups, professional clinical treatment, strategic use of medication, support from the families and friends, and faith-based resources, among other approaches. So it talks about many pathways for recovery. And there is, going to church, 12-step fellowships, um, faith-based groups, medications. That's not another part of, some people's recovery process, counseling, therapy, some other type of treatment. There's all different pathways to recovery. Recovery is supported by peers and allies by providing connection and support through mutual identification and sharing of experiential knowledge and skills, mentoring and social learning, mutual aid groups, the most well-known and prevalent of which are the 12-step programs. Play individual, play and valuable role in the process of recovery. Within such groups, those who seek recovery frequently find acceptance, a sense of belonging, the opportunity to develop healthy relationships, and the experience of community. And fundamental principle of the mutual aid groups is that being of service to others is an important vehicle through which people help themselves. To paraphrase Rand Daz, I work on myself to help others, and I help others to work on myself. I like that part. So it's like becoming a better person so I can be a better person for others. Like this is an ongoing process and it's ongoing work. And like we get better and our relationships get better, right? And I truly believe that. And if we stay stagnant in our recovery and we don't work on ourselves, we usually result to our old ideas and behaviors, and usually then we start to act out. Then it goes to addiction is a chronic, progressive, and potentially fatal disorder. Similar to other chronic life-threatening conditions such as diabetes, asthma, and heart disease, like these other illnesses, there is no cure for addiction. However, it can be treated and managed successfully through the process of recovery, allowing those with it to live long, full, and healthy lives. So it's like we have that, people say that addiction gene in us, like, we can live full lives, full productive lives, it just, we can't put no substance in our body, and it took me years and years to like come to terms with I'm an addict and I can't put, any type of substance and, even some type of medications, right? Because I know the results. I know how my mind, my body works today. Like I have more acceptance and surrender and at peace with me being a recovering addict today. I know more about myself than I ever did. That's what about the recovery process is about too. It's finding out who you are and who you're not. And I like it says recovery process is learning, growth, and healing. And that's that one sentence is very important. We learn in here, we grow in here, and we start to heal the wounds that we opened for so long that we just, and that's like the past. Let go of the past and looking forward to the future. There's things that we have to do in here to keep our sobriety And, sometimes it's not too fun doing it, but, things is, we have to do to keep it. Let me see where I'm at here. I'm sorry. So life takes a toll on all of us. And everyone, whether or not they struggle with addiction, chronic pain, or any other serious conditions, sustains a certain degree of damage along the way. Recovery provides a pathway to heal from the damage and become stronger, just as broken bones can become stronger after they heal they were before. Success is no accident, although obviously there are expectations, people do not generally experience seriously problems in living by accident or coincidence. Our choice and action is both conscious and unconscious contribute to the vast majority of the problems we experience, including those related to active addiction. In the same way, success is usually a result. Are you there, Bailey? Success is usually a result of the choices we make and the actions we take. In verse 6:3, Taoting accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. Big success rarely occur all at once. They are always built on foundations of small success. There are plenty of stories of bands who played together for a decade, developed their style, and worked their asses off to drive their own vehicles from one small, lousy, paying gig to another to play in front of audience. They begin as tiny but grow over time. Who seem to suddenly achieve great success. Successful recovery is built similar by staying clean one day at a time. Many people are able to accumulate many years in recovery. Tragically, in the media and mainstream society, we hear much more about the dramatic and fiery wreckage of active addiction and relapse that we do about quiet, inspiring stories of long-term recovery. Early in my clinical training, I was surprised to hear even extremely experienced and skilled therapists say straightforwardly that there were times that when they had no clear idea what was happening in the room, in other words, there are those moments they were confused and unsure about what was going on in their therapy with a given client. However, it is all hung in their experience exercising patience while continuing to be present, centered, and emotionally available. The issues would clearly clarify and they would find their way back being in sync with the therapeutic process. The same dynamic operates in the process of recovery. Sometimes things are unclear and confusing rather than getting twisted up because we are struggling and uncertain. If we hang in there and remain mindful, accepting, open to possibilities, and patient, the mud will settle and the water and how the best proceed will again become clear. So it's getting like metaphors. When we say like when the dust settles, things, seem much brighter and there's just a whole bunch of sayings and stuff like that. Instead of settling the pieces that sustain recovery and nurture a life of meaning, contentment. And value is a continuous process and requires identifying and gathering the necessary pieces, seeing how they fit together, and often reconfigure them, replacing some pieces with others, and rearranging them to create the most functional and healthy fit. This fit is individualized. What fits beautifully for one person may not be great fit for another. So, like you're saying, like one's recovery is not always going to fit somebody else's recovery. And we can't project that our recovery process is going to be like somebody else's, right? That's setting up for failure. That's putting expectations on your recovery. And it doesn't matter how many years people got clean. It's nice and stuff like that, but clean time don't always equal up to recovery. And sometimes we can get hard on ourselves, like we do certain things to recover or say certain things, and we don't think we are recovering as fast as somebody else or the step process. So we can get wrapped up in, matching up our recovery with somebody else's, and usually you get to live a day at a time. As long as you're progressing in your recovery and you keep going forward, you should be all right. Let me see where I'm at first. Sometimes the pieces together and they work well for a time. After being in place for a while, they may not work so well, and we need to seek out new pieces or a different configuration that fits and works better for us. You gotta find what works for us. When I was the clinical director of a hospital-based addiction treatment program in Rockland County, New York, for 5 years. During the 1990s, I worked closely with the program's medical director. He was a psychiatrist who was in recovery for quite a few years. Check that out. He's a psychiatrist and he's in recovery. Check that out, huh? 2 years through a 12-step program, although he rarely made mention of it. At one of the many professional conferences on addiction that I attend, he gave a talk that focused on his personal recovery experience. During a powerful and moving presentation, he described being grateful to be an alcoholic. He wanted to say that in contrast to most people who operate more or less on an automatic pilot and effectively sleepwalk through life, embarking on a process of recovery had given him the awareness to live life much more intentionally. As a result, he took little for granted and appreciated much. Although his reasoning made sense, it was difficult for me to wrap my mind, never mind my heart, around the idea of having such profound gratitude for being an addict until I found a way to my own recovery. So being grateful for being an addict, right? And it come to a point for me, I'm grateful who I am today. I'm grateful for the pathway and the process that got me here. Crazy as that sounds, right? I'm grateful for all the pains and the lessons I've been through. Do I regret some of it? Yes. Am I happy about some of it? No. But it comes to a point where I know who I am today without the use of drugs and alcohol, right? I know who I am with it, and I knew myself without it, right? And without me, all them years of causing damage and chaos and stuff like that, and to where I'm at today, right? I am who I am because of my past, right? And like who I've become. And recovery is, someone I think I'm greater than I would have been. Learning, growing, and healing is a process. Recovery is a process, and it just took me many years to get here. But I'm here today, and it talks. And I can't certainly believe this guy's a therapist. He's in recovery. They're like, we can do anything in recovery. It's talking about the sky's the limit. We do recover. We can do whatever we want to do. As long as we have the willingness to do it. So that ends our reading for today. Thank you, Billy, for showing up. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.